Clip. We all know Clip has really good sleight of hand. Go over there and steal the flesh orb.
If somebody lets me know that there's a flesh orb, I
Just
might.
tell her, just be like, hey, get that flesh orb.
There's a flesh orb. Grab it. Let's go.
Calf will hold her down.
Clip would need some motivation though, so let's tell her it's some kind of meat bun.
Just tell her it's a shiny object.
Tell her it's bread, and then she'll eat it. And this campaign will go in weird and unexpected directions.
I don't know what it says about what kind of DM I am, but I know exactly what would happen if one of you ate the orb. I know exactly what would happen.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that that's what happened to Donald, but you could be a snake mommy.
So you guys still think Donald is the corpse, huh?
No, I'm pretty sure Donald's the little flesh orb.
Oh, don't try to act like you knew all along. I just blew your mind.
I'm trying to figure out if that actually is her egg, or if it's like something like a baby beholder or something, because they are like fleshy orb things too when they're little.
I think they're still fleshy orb things when they're big.
Well, they got fleshy orbs with lots of like eyeball tentacles and stuff.
I don't know if you know what an eye is, but eye is kind of like a fleshy orb.
Yeah.
You can see fleshy orb.
Now, anytime someone references their eyes, now you have to go, oh no, my fleshy orb.
My fleshy orbs cannot handle this madness.
Everybody, welcome to Next Up Module, the show where we play old modules, both classic and obscure, and I'm sure this is going exactly like the actual module was written, with no embellishments at all. When last we left our heroes, the mansion was on fire. What would you guys like to do?
I'd like to leave the mansion that's on fire.
It is your turn, Yinmu. Which way would you like to move?
Oh, good. Yeah, so I'm going to throw down the bedroll in disgust.
Okay.
Oh, wait, are you going to tell
and
to
I would
go
like
for the flesh orb?
leave through the door.
All right.
Whichever parts of the door are not on fire.
You can move through Clip. That's not a problem. It's presuming she doesn't try to stop you for some reason.
No, she just hangs her head in
That's
shame.
just, I guess, just 60 feet of movement.
Okay, so you're dashing. All right. I'm not going to bother moving to the bottom floor. We'll just assume you're on your way out. Remember, during a fire, it's important. Never take the elevator. Just
There's got to be a dumb waiter around here somewhere. Just cram yourself in there.
Don't make fun of the waiter, man. He's doing the best he can. You have to go insult him. All right. Thistle. What do you want to do?
I think you moved Thistle.
Did I? Oh, you're right. Sorry. Thistle? Watch. I'm going to put him back. And then Ben's like, I want to go to the same place.
I'm going to follow suit and make an excuse about how this is not a retreat. This is a tactical repositioning.
Mm-hmm.
We're just moving
But
to fight
I'm not going to
outside.
make it. I'm not going to make it as far. I'm probably going to get down the stairs, but I don't think I'm actually going to have the movement because I've got hindered movement.
Okay.
Because of my gnomish size and my limp.
Okay. I will tell you guys, she is not bloodied yet.
Yeah, that's kind of what I figured. So
You guys have put a beating on her, but she's only about a third down.
I say we let the fire do the work for us, guys, and let's get out of here.
All right, Calf.
Calf would like to say, is nobody going to make a move for the flesh orb?
Flesh orb? What? Where?
Yeah. She's I guess I don't know where it is on her now that she's transformed, or can I see that?
That is a good question. She is still wearing like tattered like parts of her clothing. Partly just to keep this PG-13, you know, so she's still got like a ragged top on, like She-Hulk style. And you assume it's still tucked in her blouse somewhere.
Okay.
Like her pants are gone because she's just a tail now, but
Right. Well, yeah. And she was wearing a dress, so
Yeah.
like, she could reasonably have a dress with like a tail coming out the back, I think.
Okay, we need this illustrated because that
She
would be
can still
adorable.
have most of this on. I'll work on that after this.
my measure of success is when we start getting fan art.
Oh,
Fingers crossed, guys.
I'll fan art up. So, if Calf's not super dexterous.
Okay.
You do need to get out.
Mm.
I'm just trying to decide. Let's see.
You're right by the window.
The window. Yeah, knock her out the window.
Oh, knock her
Or
out the window.
Knock
Let's
yourself
do it.
out the window. I
Or
guess
the
that's
wall.
true. You could do
I'd
that.
like to try and push Mona out the window.
Okay. Why don't you give me a strength check and you still got advantage?
I still have advantage.
Athletics. Athletics, yeah.
Athletics?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I was gonna say on my turn I would probably try and do the same thing, so I don't know.
I've got a 12.
Ooh, you've not been lucky with your.
I've not been rolling great. I
It's
need
better
to
than the
set it
4.
right.
She's gonna resist. I'm gonna give her a roll and see if you beat it. Oh yeah, she rolled like crap. She rolled a 5.
Oh, hey.
Woo!
Right. Now I'm gonna make a second roll to see if she can take you with her.
Oh no. We have 5 hit points.
And she gets a +5 on this one because of her sneaky tail. Oh, that's a wrong dice. She's definitely not gonna roll high on that.
It's done. It's done. You can't retcon it.
11. What's your AC?
My AC?
Mm-hmm.
11.
Oh, suck.
Is that good?
You shove her, and as the window shatters, her tail darts out, wraps around you, and you both fall.
Woo!
Okay, so
Jump out the window after him.
20 feet.
Well, since she's on the bottom, would she cushion my fall?
Just a minute. 1d6. So you are going to take 2d6 of damage, which I'll go ahead and roll for you. And her.
Me too.
4 plus 2. You take 6 points of damage.
That's it for me. I'm knocked out.
You are unconscious on the ground. She's going to take the same amount of damage.
Good thing my friends are outside, I guess.
Okay. All right. The two of you are on the ground. You're both prone, and Calf, you're unconscious. Clip, you're up.
So Clip just saw that, no! And she, like, I have enough movement speed to get where Mona's at.
Mhm.
I don't know about how falling works. Like, you know, jumping out the window and falling, how that counts movement
Oh,
speed.
you're Tabaxi, so you've got dex advantage on
Well,
that.
here's the thing. Once you step outside the window, you can fall down infinitely as much as you want.
I will do that.
I actually stole that joke yesterday on Ack Inc.'s just did their big PAX East broadcast. And the DM's like, what's your jumping speed? And Patrick Rothfuss is like, I'm pretty sure if he's jumping down, it's unlimited. Because he's jumping off a cliff.
Alright, so that's
sorry.
what I wanted to do.
Do the Tabaxi
I
still have land on their feet as a racial trait?
You made that up.
No, they used to, like when they were first introduced.
I don't think so. I'm sorry, Clip, what were you saying?
Alright, so what I want to do is I want to dash out the window, you know, hop out.
Mhm.
And you know how cats, like, land on their feet?
Uh-huh.
I want to see about having my claws out and trying to, like, pounce Mona.
Okay.
Yeah, do it.
But you have a climb speed too, so you could always probably just climb instead of falling.
Nope.
Nope. What party do you think this is?
Okay.
I'd probably even do, like, a whole growly meow typically try to hide the fact that I'm at the backseat.
Okay, so you're trying to land on Moana, so why don't you give me an acrobatics roll?
I think you're safe here. None of us are gonna tell.
20. Not
Okay. Yeah, you land on her. I'm going to give you 1d6 of damage. Just from the impact.
Okay.
So that's 4 points of damage.
But do you deal 1d6 points of damage?
And are you attacking with your claws?
I am.
Alright, why don't you go ahead and give me a roll for that? That's, what, a 1d4? Plus your modifier?
Do you want me to roll damage, or do you want me to roll for the attack?
No, the attack was a dexterity check. You're fine on that. So go ahead and give me damage. Landing on her is the attack.
Yes. 2.
Alright, and then I am going to go ahead and add the 4 from the falling damage to that. And did you add your strength bonus? Oh, you probably don't have one because you're a rogue, huh?
Yeah, I have a negative.
Okay. Alright, so that's 6 points of damage. She is finally bloodied.
Yay!
You guys got her down to halfway.
I can't wait to celebrate at some point.
Alright. Thistle and Yinmu, you guys have made it outside the mansion. And you guys can see right away that to the left here are your comrades.
And a big old pile.
And a pile of broken glass.
I believe we're all in the same square. At this point.
Well, I would like to think when Mona wrapped her with your tail, when you guys fell out, you would have kind of like taken roll. So you guys wouldn't be like sandwiched. Like the initial impact would be like, boom, and then you'd like roll over one way or the other.
Well, they fell apart now. Mona's not trying to hold on to her since she's unconscious. Mona's a little more concerned about the screaming angry house cat on top of her. So, Yinmu, Thistle, what do you guys want to do?
So, what? I know we mentioned it. Did you actually take the good berry?
I assumed he did.
Okay.
Okay, so
That's 1 point.
I won't argue that because I'm going to take
Okay.
every
I
advantage
figured
can get.
if you put the point of health in, I assume you did.
It's too bad because he could have just saved Calf's life with it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, not an option now. So, but hey, we're outside. So
Are they
let's
berries?
How nice it is out here.
let's the owl can
The-
help out a bit.
The mansion goes.
Thistle looks over at Yinmu and be like, "Well, we tried. I guess we go home."
The mansion, in case I wasn't clear, is now an inferno.
Can you use? I forget. Can you use aid another to boost someone's armor class? Don't know. Is that a thing in 5e?
You mean like help?
Yes.
No, help's only
Okay.
for advantage.
Okay. Well, I will go ahead and have my owl come down and do some flyby help
Okay.
against Mona.
Thistle's going to move up because he obviously can't disengage. Although Thistle is torn about whether or not his paladin obligations require him to save an unconscious hellspawn.
Well, we
Paladin.
make good buds.
Now, here's the question I want to ask you guys. Are you trying to continue the fight, or do you just want to grab Calf and get out of there?
Thistle's under the impression that that's going to be the best course of action, especially if we're just...
Well, let's look at the two wimpy people with negative strengths, and let's look at Thistle and be like, well, I mean, if you want to make it, go for it. That's kind of on you. Unless you want to distract her, and maybe two of us together cannot completely embarrass ourselves.
I'm gonna go for the orb next round. I'm just gonna let you guys know that.
Hit that orb.
Okay, so I'm just going to spell out for you guys. If you guys want to use the owl distractor and just grab Calf and like the fireman hold and drag her out, Mona's not going to stop you because she would also like to get away from this fight. If you try to grab the egg, you're going to have a problem.
So it is
that's,
an egg.
that's up the clip.
The egg-like object.
Thistle's obligation is going to be to save.
I don't feel like it's much of a secret to tell you guys it's an egg.
Clip.
Thistle's going to have to try and save.
How good
Calf.
is Clip's sleight of hand? Does Clip still have a piece of bread that she can place in? So that Mona will take a little bit of time to recognize.
Is this about the right size?
Okay. I am not going to confirm whether or not the egg was actually laid by Mona or not. So I don't want you to misinterpret this next statement. But what you guys are proposing is still essentially pulling the cub out of the mama bear's arms.
And chucking it in the fire.
I just want to make sure we're clear before we execute.
The chance of ending this combat would not happen if that's what you want to do. But that's up to you, Clip.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
I could probably outrun her.
Thistle's gonna jingle his keys
That
and
would
see
be
if that gets
an
Calf's
excellent
attention.
distraction, Clip. If you grab the orb and book it, the rest of us will grab Calf, and we can pray for your immortal soul.
I like this plan. This is a great plan. Let's do this.
Now, if a tabaxi becomes a were-snake, are they like a snake cat? Is that what their half form looks like?
I really support all these plans. Like,
It's kind of like a catfish, but not. You
So,
know, cat head,
Regardless of
fish
what we
body.
do, Yinmo will use the owl to distract
Okay.
Mona. So what the rest of you want to do with that, Yinmu will follow your lead.
All
Unless
right.
you all die, in which case, good luck. Yinmu is gone.
So the owl does a flyby, and she's distracted. The next person gets advantage.
Which would be Thistle?
Whoever
Are
decides.
we going?
We're still technically an initiative if you guys want to do it that way. Yeah.
Thistle's gonna make a move for Calf.
Okay.
I do not have any healing potions left. Does anybody else?
I don't think we have any healing potions, period.
I don't think we have any healing
We just-
anything.
But you and I have magical
I'm
healing,
sorry,
and we're all
not
out of it.
potions. I mean, I can't do any more
Yeah, no, we're both all out of
recovery
healing.
until we get a rest.
You guys are in rough shape.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna drag Calf back behind that tree to the north.
Okay. No.
Yeah.
Try and get
I
some
really
cover.
appreciate this,
I
of
do that
course.
every time.
I think I've got to be at half movement speed because I am not nearly strong enough to pull someone twice my size like that.
We'll just move both of you.
How strong are you?
What is
What
my
is your strength?
Where is my strength?
We are gonna call it. We are gonna call it half speed because also Calf is not a tiny person.
Yeah.
probably more
No,
ability
no
than-
offense. I mean, it's all muscle. It's just.
Well, I'm actually at a 0 on my strength, so
No, so you have a 10. You have a
Yeah.
10 strength.
yeah, I don't have any.
I mean that's
bonuses
average
there.
for like an adult human. So I mean you're brawny for a gnome.
Yeah. An old gnome with a long beard.
Yep. All right. So.
I'm just gonna sort of tie my beard around Calf's foot and drag her out that way.
Some gnomes were born beards.
So we're gonna jump to Calf's
Yes,
turn.
yes, they were.
Calf, give me a
Did
death
she-
saving throw.
Oh yeah, no healing for Calf.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Just-
Calf.
Oh, saving throw?
Mhm.
Okay.
Death saving throw. If you've just got a dice, you can just roll a d10. Excuse me, d20, and you're trying to beat 10.
It says death saves on your sheet. You can just click that.
Ah,
and
that
it'll
works
roll
too.
it for you.
It's like Final Fantasy, right? Like I can hit the Hellspawn with fire and they'll recover points.
I can tell you guys, it's not Final Fantasy. It doesn't work that way.
Okay, where on the sheet is the death save? Oh, there. it is.
That is next to hit
Okay.
dice. Yeah.
Okay.
Or your hit points.
I've had some pretty bad throws, but again, if there's any time for Calf to get a good throw,
It's one bad one is okay.
You just
Nat
need
20,
not 3
nat
bad
20,
ones.
Nat 20.
10. Is
10.
that good?
10 beats it.
good?
Yep. Meter beat. 10 makes it just, but it makes
And
it.
it's exactly what you needed.
Yep.
That's Calf's
So
got this.
she's stabilized?
No.
Is that
No,
right?
you need like 3.
You need
two
three.
more, right?
3 that stabilize.
3 good ones, and you come back to consciousness. Well, not consciousness. You stabilize. 3 bad ones, and you're dead. Whichever comes first. So you keep rolling until you have 3 good or 3 bad.
If the battle ends, does that also stabilize me?
It depends, but in this case, we're going to say yes.
Okay.
We're going to assume that if combat ends, they can do basic CPR and things, yeah.
Okay.
Also, you guys can attempt that with a medicine check during combat if you want, but that's going to eat up like your whole turn.
Yeah, let's get.
And I don't know if anybody has.
For me.
I don't know if anybody has a great medicine.
I have a +3. It's not bad.
Then you
I'm
could
not
actually do that.
Trained in it.
I've got a +2.
Yeah, if you're trained in it, you can stabilize. It won't heal any hit points unless you have like a feat, but you can just stabilize with a medicine check.
I know you guys are really eager to perform CPR on lavender-skinned. No. Yes. Bighorns.
Thistle's learning a lot today about what his kinks are not.
And meanwhile, when
Snake
Kat-
people,
when Kat
no.
comes to, it's just like after a drinking party with her buddies. Like, yeah, everything was on fire. Passed out on top of a giant snake. This is like Tuesday.
All right, let's jump to Clip. Clip, what are you gonna do? It's your moment of truth.
I'm gonna do my sleight of hand and see if I can't pull the egg.
Okay.
Give me that roll.
Let's do this.
I got a 9.
All right. She reaction attacks you.
Okay.
She's got full health.
No.
Oh, and you don't.
Falling damage.
All right. Does a 16 plus 5 hit?
Wait, does
What is
she
that,
get
21?
advantage? Does Diana get advantage
No,
on her
it
sleight of
doesn't
hand
hit.
Because the
Why?
owl.
because of the owl?
Yes. Try it again.
Yes.
And
I'm gonna laugh if it's a 1. Ooh, 24.
Get that orb.
Oh, wow.
This time you reach in. Is that a natural 20?
It was
No.
19 with a +5.
Okay. In that case, forget the roll she made before. You reach in, put your hand around the egg. She grabs you with her wrist
Yep.
and bites you.
Hopefully she's not a venomous weresnake.
hey, I'm telling you, half snake, half cat.
And
You're a
that's going to
cake.
be
You'll be a cake.
3d10. So that's one of these.
I like this. This cannot
One of these.
possibly
And
go
one
wrong.
of these.
It could be a
All
cake or a
right.
snap.
So it's 21 again. 21 hits, I assume.
Yeah.
All right. So that is going to be.
Too much damage for me to take, probably.
She rolled a
Anything higher than
5
Ooh, I have 1 health point left.
plus 3d10 of necrotic damage.
Oh no.
That's going to be 8.
Oh, would that be an instant kill then?
They have massive damage in 5e, do they?
18.
Wow.
Yeah, I would be instant dead.
How many hit? What's your HP max?
10.
uh,
Click that in the
Do we have our first death?
I just started coloring.
You are unconscious and you have 2 failed death saving throws.
Wow.
1 failed death saving throw and you will be
Try
dead.
to take eggs from a. Do not attempt to steal eggs from a weresnake.
And
I thought I was gonna be able to get it.
and you might also be a weresnake now. We don't know yet.
Yes.
But also 3 of you might be ghouls now because we haven't addressed that either. So you guys are having an interesting first night.
Well,
But that makes
it's
me
fine.
a cake ghoul.
Oh, I love it.
Can lycanthropes get other diseases? Can you be a half cat, half snake, half ghoul?
We're gonna find. Well, technically, Jared, that would be a third snake, a third ghoul, and a third.
50% snake, 50% cat, 50% ghoul. 150% rogue. So you're just 300% character.
Mm-mm.
You can be a party all by yourself.
Clint
Like-
does not have multiple personalities. I'm
Yet.
sorry to tell you guys that.
It's like,
Yeah.
it's like the old
That is the
army
entire-
of
I'm
one.
telling you right
commercial.
now, if the Tabaxi becomes aware snap, then I'm gonna totally get bit so that I can be one too, because that would be awesome.
Well, you wouldn't catch the cat part.
I wouldn't, but I'd at least be a were snake. No.
Well, we can take care of that right now. Mona's still here.
Would that improve his height?
He'd be a very small were snake.
Garden snake.
Yeah, like a little, the little
I
garden
can
snake.
see this just hitting his head on everything after that. And be like, son of a, how do you guys deal with this?
Well, now that we went completely off the rails,
Oh.
Mona is going to use her turn to move away. Clip, are you going to... Oh, no, you can't try for opportunity attack. You are unconscious.
I'm nearly dead. I'm more deader.
Could she be like purple and bloated too? Because I'm getting that image in my head.
Sure.
Cat or me?
We finally found Thistle's kink, everybody.
Oh wow! You're gonna have to put an MA rating on this one. My friend.
I like my women like I like my blueberries. Purple and bloated.
Don't Google bloated snap.
The Violet Beauregard kink.
Okay.
There's probably a website
Okay,
for it.
so-
unfortunately.
I'm censoring myself, and I want to say something. I will tell it after we're done recording.
Now,
So
does anybody else want to go after Mona, or do you guys want to drag the two unconscious ladies?
no, and if I can, I'd like to stabilize since right now Clip looks like the worst of the two.
Mhm.
If I can use medicine or even my herbalism kit, which I think is technically
On Clip.
All right.
no, that I have that on me.
Oh. Okay.
I think. Do I?
You had me carry a bag. I assumed it was
I actually
everything.
don't have it listed under my items, so I don't know what's going on with that.
Well, first things first, before you guys do anything, I would move the unconscious away from the building, which is now a roaring fire.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a possibility that Clips dies in the next 6 seconds, so
I agree. There's also a possibility that flaming boards fall on you guys in the next 6 seconds.
I guess that's true. Okay.
We've moved away from it is no longer recognizable as a house.
That's a quick fire.
Um,
Yeah, let's drag them back behind the trees and get out of there somewhere.
As you guys start to move away, you do hear an old-fashioned bell clanging.
Mm-hmm.
Even on a night like tonight, apparently there was some city guard that still actually showed up for work.
Yay, city guard.
And you guys see a wagon pull up that's got a big old brass bell on it that's clearly like the fire wagon.
Bring out your dead.
I mean, it's being pulled by horses, you know. It's they're doing their best. A couple druids get out and city watch guard and start conjuring up clouds in the sky that are raining, trying to put out the fire. You guys see some guards, a couple of priests, it looks like, to tend to the anybody who might be wounded. Are you guys gonna are you guys stealthing it, or do you guys want to talk to them?
No, let's head towards the people who still are doing magic. That has my vote.
Yeah, I think the necessity of saving our people is more important.
Okay. So
Also, Thistle's gonna feel that telling them about Mona is something they should know about.
well, Mona
Is
is.
there any more were snakes in the building?
I mean,
It's the question. You guys, because they are looking for people, basically not doing anything is the same as letting them know you're there. They find you pretty quickly since you're not actively trying to hide. And pretty soon they've got the four of you in the back of the wagons. They've got blankets on the back of everybody. Calf, you're back to health and you're feeling just
Yay.
fine. Clip, we'll get to you in a second. Uh,
How about the grave rot? How's that?
I'm getting to that. I'm going to start making some rolls here. Actually. So,
I forgot we had that.
yeah, I hadn't. Thistle, you're fine. You didn't have the grave rot, and your charmed is gone. And you weren't dead. So, you've been given a heal.
Successful night.
You've been healed up. You're not topped off, but you've been healed up, and you're feeling okay. The rest of you. Okay. Yinmu. 14. Your grave rot is gone. You're drinking a bowl of hot broth that they've got some herbs and stuff steeping in. And that sickness steeping your core that you were feeling before is gone. And you think you're going to be just fine. Where'd my second dice go? There it is. Calf. 11. But with your fiendish constitution, you actually also are feeling quite well at this point. They've given you a very similar broth, except yours is a lot spicier than Yinmu's. You have no idea if that's like because you're a hell demon, and they had to put something different in it, or if they just figured you'd like the hot. But again, you're feeling a warmth down in your core, and you're feeling pretty good about life.
So HP wise, what should I have? Does that matter right now?
Everybody, unless you had more hit points than this, which I don't think any of you did, everybody is back up to half.
Half. Okay.
I'm still at full.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
sit there and eat berries. So.
And
all those berries that might have been used to stabilize people later on.
And as they're giving Calf the broth, the druids shake their head and they're like, "Well, we worked on the necrotic and we got you some health back, but I'm sorry, you're still a demon spawn."
That's canon. There's like 2 priests with Bibles and holy crosses, and like, we can't excise it.
Like, I guess I'll learn to live with it, you guys.
Clip.
Yes.
Your roll was a 6.
For
You
a save or a fail?
you are awake.
Okay.
What's your HP max?
10.
Okay, you've got 4 hit points.
All right.
You are feeling alive, and you're happy to be alive, but you're feeling nauseous and unsteady on your feet.
And is Clip talking with a slur?
she,
asking.
she does look a little hungover. Everybody else is at half, rounded down.
Oh, rounded down.
Now, the default in D&D is rounded down unless stated otherwise. Sorry.
That's fine.
All right. The City Watch have a lot of questions for you guys. But you do get the distinct feeling that you're getting off easier than you would on a normal night because of the fact that it is the solstice and they're kind of expecting crazy things to go down. So instead of like, I'm going to take you in for questioning, you're getting a lot more like, you guys are lucky to be alive.
Yes, and we're just gonna say thank you. We've done nothing wrong. We appreciate your help.
Did you, Thistle, did you want to report Mona, or are you just staying tight-lipped?
It's all Mona's fault.
No, I feel like the Paladin Thistle would let the City Watch know that Mona that lived in this house is a half-snake weirdo that apparently has an egg, and so they might want to be on the watch out for that.
The senior guard looks at you, and he kind of shakes his head like you clearly inhaled too much smoke, and he says, "I'm sorry, son, but this house has been abandoned for years. Nobody lives here."
Bite mark. See?
Are you trying to prove to this person that you're a were-snake? I feel like you don't
No.
understand.
It was her!
Bit by a square snake. It's fresh wound.
Look, everyone check on my zombie bite.
Thistle's gonna look at the guard and be like,
Don't be alarmed,
I don't
but
know
I
if
may
she
have been
actually
bitten."
lived here, but you got a were-snake running around town. Just, put it out there, let your people know.
So,
I almost nearly died.
This is water deep. I'm pretty sure they have were everything.
They probably do.
They
Jumping ahead.
If you're looking for her, she's blinking red. That helps you locate her.
Jumping.
Oh, she's like, good. Maybe you'll get into the sewers and clean out some of the were-rats.
So, jumping ahead, it is 5:30. It's half an hour before dawn. The four of you come straggling back into the lucky break. You're bleeding, clothes ripped.
Oh, I mean,
Yeah, so I'm not hitting
I've had
this
time
back.
in the wagon, so I have time to clean myself up.
Oh, I'm
That's the
sorry.
magic of...
Everyone except Yin Moo.
You're just looking fresh.
I may not have battle cantrips very much, but I sure clean up really nicely.
You guys come barging in. Everybody in the whole tavern who's conscious, because most of them are passed out, drunk, or gone to bed. Everybody turns to look at you. Yin Moo, your uncle, comes up and puts his arm around you, and he looks at your three comrades who are all like obviously been in battle, and he looks at you, who's clean and fresh, and he just shakes his head disappointedly at you.
Clip will check down the bag. I'm done.
He says to you, confidentially, he says, "You just held action all night, didn't you?" There's a tinge of disappointment in his voice. Clip. Slick Smitty comes up to you and he takes you back.
As that conversation's going down,
Mm-hmm.
Thistle's gonna walk up and kind of put a hand on Yinmu's shoulder and be like, "Without your bravery, we never would have survived the night."
Yinwo was immediately perks up. He's like, "That's my boy," and he ribs you right in your bruise. Elbows you, right in your bruised ribs. Clip, you've just thrown your gear on the ground, and Slick Smitty comes up. He says, "Girly, are you ready to go check the boxes?" So you wander back with him.
I was gonna say she's probably looking at the bite, seeing if it's gonna like heal.
It,
Is it seeping? Is it like nasty?
Smitty says, "I told you not to go out on the solstice," which of course he didn't say any such thing, but you know.
Yeah.
He's like, I told you it was dangerous out there, girlie. You just didn't listen to me. Yinmu, your uncle's still talking to you. He says, "So, while you were gone," and you notice he's got a big pile of winnings. He says, "While you were gone, nephew, I've been sending a few owls to a good friend of mine." He strokes his goatee. He says, "The Baron Craters over in Daggerford. I think you should pay him a visit on your way back to Tarvey." He says, "It's my understanding he's actually looking for a team of adventurers for some sort of quest, and I told him I had the perfect young man in his team that was just going to knock his socks off. They're going to have a banquet in your honor," which you don't know if he's lying or not. He says, "But you get down there, you tell him I sent you, they're going to roll out the red carpet for you." And he gives you a hearty pet on the back.
I'll turn to Thistle and be like, "Well, what do you think?"
Thistle smiles and he's like, "Well, are you buying room and board for us tonight?"
I think I can
Today.
help you out. I think I can help you out with that.
Thistle's like, "I'm in."
Clip and Smitty come back. Smitty's got a broken nose. He clearly tried to goose the wrong person on the wrong night. Clip's looking very disgruntled, but she's got her 10 gold from doing the job.
Yay! Money.
And that brings us to Calf.
Calf.
So,
Well,
the rest of you do not notice that Calf has, I presume, snuck off.
Yeah.
So, the portal, we haven't really discussed it, but the portal where you came into this plane is about 2 blocks away from the Lucky Break. It actually happens to be a back alley right behind where you guys had your very first battle tonight. And as you sneak past there, the sun is just getting really close to coming up. The city guard is now actually out again. And as you pass by the site of your battle, there's 2 chalk outlines but just of the bodies, and then there's 2 circles for their heads, like a couple feet away from each one of them. And there's a crowd of people around. There's 3 city watch, and you see a woman crying with her 3 children. And one of the kids says, "Mommy, but where's Daddy? Why would somebody do this, Mommy?" And the mother says, "I don't know, honey, but whoever did it is just the worst scum of the earth." The other one of the city guard people is comforting clearly the wife of the other person, and she's saying, "He was only looting because we can't afford to feed our baby." And she's blowing her nose into a hanky.
Backstory, man.
What's that?
Why you gotta give us this backstory?
Because in my games, actions have consequences.
Alright, that's fine.
So,
Collect some of the tears of those orphans. I hear that's a delicacy down in hell.
So I take it these are the families of the looters, not the dragonborns.
yeah, the looters.
Okay.
Well, if you're gonna loot to save your family, can't I don't get to pick the consequences.
I think you choose to be beheaded. That's what the city guard would have done.
Yeah, yes.
All right, do you want to keep going?
I could see Calf having that conversation. Well, your father probably loved you, but he was a looter, and that gets you your head off. It's how the world works.
I'd like to think the calf gets 2 tieflings on each shoulder, but one of them has a halo and the other one has a second set of horns.
Devils. They're like, you did good. Yes, you did.
Well, if your father hadn't wanted to lose his head, he should have.
Fought better.
Yeah. But clearly, I wanted his head off his shoulder more than he wanted his head on his shoulder. He just wasn't an actualizer.
I think that'll be a real comfort to the widow. Thanks.
Oh wow! Some people go out and seize their dreams, and some people lose their heads.
It's that's something we should have like that on like next to a sunset. Some people seize their dreams. Some people lose their.
It's a motivational poster in hell.
Oh.
I feel like there should be a kitten on a branch and the kitten has horns. All right, do you want to keep moving then?
So Kath is kind of weighing what she wants to do. She definitely doesn't want to go into this crowd because she knows how tieflings are perceived. She's also thinking about how she never picked up a puppy for Skull Crusher, and she might not get the chance to do that again.
Do either of the crying children have puppies that Calf can steal?
Just grab an orphan. Like, you can tell a difference between a human child and a dog child. They need someone to take care of them anyhow. They don't want to get a home. They need a good home now.
That's what I think we can't go off the rails anymore.
Yeah, after we beat the snake woman, the way that Kath really dies is because she tried to steal an orphan from a crowd of people.
It's a small crowd. There's only like 10 or 12 people. All right, do you want to sneak on past, or what do you want to do?
Does Kath know of any other opportunities that portal might open? Because she did complete her job.
You were told that it opens only at the solstice on the light of dawn, which is about 2 minutes away at this point. It's very close. But it's just around the corner. I was basically making sure you didn't want to stop and talk to like anybody in the crowd or anything.
Okay.
But if you want to do something else, I mean, you do whatever you want. It's Dungeons and Dragons.
Well, I'm thinking if she goes through the portal, I'm gonna have to pick a new character. I don't want to do that.
All right,
Okay.
so
I mean, I almost died.
so I presume, just to make clear, so you don't stop and talk to the widows or anything, right? You keep moving. I just want to clarify that much.
You could give the widow your axe and say, "Here, this is the axe that killed your husband. I
Get
think we
revenge."
want you to have
Why would
it."
I do that?
No, it's like the scene in Kill Bill 2. It's like the scene in Kill Bill where she talks to the little girl after she kills her mom, and she's like, "Someday you come kill me."
I don't think Kath wants to do that. Sorry, guys.
All right, so you continue on past the crowd, and you come around the corner, and you are a little torn about because you enjoyed your time with your new friends,
Yeah.
but you know where your place is, and so you come up and Sure enough, right as the sun starts to come up from the horizon, a beam of light shines down, and you see a portal open, a large, tiefling-shaped portal. But instead,
Tiefling shaped.
and well, sized. Sorry, like 6 foot tall. But instead of being like a swirly vortex that's sucking things in, this has more like a mirrored surface.
Okay.
And you can see a perfectly clear image of your boss.
Oh, okay.
The demon who talked to you before. And he's sitting at his desk and he's got files in front of him and he's tapping his fingers together. And he says,
Cat with his hook hands?
there's no cat.
Okay.
He is
Okay,
kicking
no cat, sorry.
he is kicking a puppy under his desk though.
Okay.
You can hear the "Arf!" occasionally. He says, well, calf.
Yeah.
He holds up a document and he says, I see here beheaded, very nice. No, it wasn't beheaded. Excuse me. Stabbed with his own weapon. He says, stabbed with his own weapon. Very nice. He doesn't technically know that, the Dragonborn did it.
Doesn't matter how it was done.
His file shows that your hands were on the weapon.
Okay.
Because they were. It just... They weren't the only hands on the weapon.
He's dead.
He's...
Got his gauntlet thingy.
He says, stabbed with his own weapon. It's a nice touch. And then he sighs heavily and he says, however, I'm afraid we do have a problem, calf.
Oh, yeah?
He turns, and sitting next to his desk is a large bird. It looks a lot like a raven, except it's green and it has one big eye instead of 2 small eyes.
Okay.
And the bird, you see an image shoot out of it like a projector screen
Oh, no.
onto the wall, and it's an image of you on the elevator
Oh, what?
with Skullcrusher. And Skullcrusher says, so, I was just wondering if you'd like to, I don't know, overthrow hell sometime. Or maybe go for a burger. And you're like, well, Skullcrusher, I don't know. Maybe we could overthrow hell. I'd definitely take a burger. And the image closes. Pew! And he turns back to you and he's drumming his fingers on the desk. He says, now as you know, treason in hell is a capital offense.
Okay.
But given your excellent performance for us in the past, I think a promotion is in order.
Okay, sure.
We're going to promote you to Prime Material Plane Agent.
Okay.
You can be our agent here, in the Prime Material Plane.
Sir, would this mean that I don't get to see my friends anymore?
He says, oh, you mean Skullcrusher? Yes, you can see him. And he turns to the bird and he says, Perry, show me Skullcrusher. And Perry shoots another image and you see Skullcrusher hung up in shackles over a sea of writhing worms. And worms are jumping up. You didn't even know worms could jump, but these worms are. They're jumping up like the fish in Super Mario Brothers and taking little bites out of Skullcrusher.
Uh-huh.
And he's screaming in pain. He doesn't like it.
Oh. Well, I don't know that he would have wanted it any other way.
The image goes away. Pew!
Okay. So, sir, what would this promotion entail?
He says, well, as our agent here in the Prime Material Plane, you continue to do what you've just done every time we have an assignment for you, which I'm sure will be at least once a decade. We will send you a file and you will slay the person within 24 hours.
All right. Well, I appreciate this opportunity to
I'm sure you do.
the organization, and thanks.
He looks sternly and he says, don't fail us again. And the portal closes.
Boy. Oh boy. That's kind of like how chats with real bosses go. So.
That would be a cool place to end our game, but we got like 10 minutes left.
Yeah. Maybe if I was quicker, she'd say something a little bit more smart and cool, but You know, she's had a long night. She almost died.
I like the idea actually that you think of something right after he disappears, and you're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you and your little dog too.
Or
Or
one of the orphans comes around the corner. Do you have a puppy? I miss my cat.
are you my daddy?
Your
Now,
healthcare
kid.
plan sucks, by the way.
What sucks?
Would just be like, your healthcare plan sucks, but I'd be worried he could hear it because he's got a bird that can apparently see me. So, you know, maybe watch the back talk. I don't want to get shackled with worm bites out of me. So.
All right, so the sun has risen. It is now officially dawn. The solstice is officially over, guys.
Yay!
Yay, you survived. Barely.
What is
some,
everyone?
some of us are still recovering. I
Calf?
don't know about you guys. I'm basically the exact same as before I went into this, except for all my spell slots are gone. So.
Calf, am I correct in presuming you want to go back to the Lucky Break?
Yeah.
Since the only people you know were there?
I know. The 4 people I know. Well, I guess 3.
Three,
Mona's
yeah.
gone. So, Cap, did she hear that Yinmu's got a job, or did she peace out before that?
I'm going to leave that up to you.
I think Cass, let's see. She saw that there was some conversation, probably at least, but I think she left pretty quickly. So she would want to go back and probably say thank you, I guess, because she was dragged out and healed, and, you know, thanks for helping me, even though I jumped out a window and kind of endangered myself.
Oh yeah. Well, when you see Calf come in, you
Mhm.
be like, Calf. So I know you were Mona's bodyguard, but I assume that job has fallen through. So we have a new job.
I love it.
Well,
Calf's
Cass,
first question is, how many heads do I get to lop off?
well, I'm assuming that as, you know, Hellspawn on the material plane, they're not really necessarily providing per diem for meals and board and all that, so she probably better find some work. This sounds as good as any.
It's fair enough.
So she would say, tell me more.
And Clip, have you guys told Clip?
Yeah, because she came back from her job. And so...
She's got 10 gold now. She's buying us for sandwiches tonight.
I'm going home.
That's what I figured. So,
Right about that time, Thistle's gonna walk in with a nice big platter full of fresh buns from the oven for breakfast. I'm gonna set them on the table, and I'm like, Yinmu's buying, guys, dig in.
okay. I assume you guys tell Clip about the job before she leaves.
yeah.
I assume the rest of you guys are staying at the Lucky Break for the morning.
Yeah, we probably need our long rest.
I would say that's a good idea. So, Clip, you asked me a while back where the lock shop was. I never gave you an answer, I don't think.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's in the dock ward, but it's in, not the seediest part. It's in an okay part of the dock ward.
Yeah.
You walk there. It doesn't take you long. The sun's out now. When you enter, you let yourself in. You pick the lock just out of habit. You don't even know if it was locked. It's just, practice.
Yeah, that's accurate.
You let yourself in. Your aunt, I don't remember her first name, sorry. Anella, thank you. She's actually passed out in a chair. She's got a drink in her hand,
Yeah.
You've seen that before, but what's unusual is she's pretty professional. It's not like her to pass out during a job, to get drunk while she's working. But she's actually left her tools and the chest she was working on out on the counter. And the reason why that's significant to you is because she never leaves her tools out, because her tools are a lot nicer than yours. She has a very special set of thieves' tools that you've long suspected might actually be a little enchanted.
Yeah, they're shiny.
She's always kept them locked up when you were around for some weird reason.
Lock up the lockpicks.
Well, I mean, the lockpicks that I have are really, really the starter kit, and she's got like the higher end tier.
Hers have been gathered for a long period of time.
Than what Clip has been alive.
Hmm?
If I had to guess, probably longer.
They're curated.
Has she got like the gold-plated kind that they give you for your 50 years of
Now,
robbing and thieving?
No, she's not that old.
let me put it this way. When you talk to somebody who's just like starting out as a chef, they have like a set of chef knives that were bought all from the same place, like came as a set. But when you talk to somebody who's been a chef for like 30 years, like each knife came from a different place at a different time. Like they collected different tools from different manufacturers because each one was great at a very specific job. It's that kind of deal. Like this was not like a set from the store. This was a curated set of lockpicks.
Can I see about unlocking the box with her tools?
Sure. All right, so you go behind the counter. They're sitting on the counter, and you want to pick up her tools and start working on the box.
Yep.
All right, give me a sleight of hand.
7. Not quite a critical fail.
All right, you get a little bit of a bonus to that because the tools are so nice, but it does not open. You hear a soft snore from her. She doesn't wake up, so you can give it another try if you want.
As long as she's asleep, I'm probably going to be doing it.
Natural one. It explodes in poison.
What you got?
9.
All right. So this box is not trapped, so we're just going to skip ahead. I'm going to assume you spend like 10 minutes working on it, fiddling around with the different tools. Again, you suspect that these tools have some special qualities, but you haven't really used them before. Haven't really. You've never used them before.
Right. But, I would think, if I'm picking it up, I'd be like super careful to make sure they all go back in the exact same way, in the exact same order that she had it. So that way she didn't know I touched them at all.
And
you want to take them with you?
No! That's my camp stuff. You don't steal my family.
the truth is, if she hadn't already started it,
from family unless you can frame someone else.
the truth is, if she hadn't started it for you, you might not be able to get it at all. But like someone who's loosened the lid on the pickle jar, after about 10 minutes of fussing with it, you manage to pop it open with a little pop. 2 things.
Yes.
Number 1, there's only one thing inside the box.
Okay.
It's something. It's metal. You're pretty sure wrapped in like a leather cloth. But the second thing is the box itself. The box itself is much bigger on the inside. You'd say it's about 3 times bigger on the inside than it was on the outside. You could even say the box itself is a kind of treasure.
Yes.
It's like a small jewelry box.
Yeah.
But
like, a big.
it's like a
side.
it's like a full-size chest on the inside, like a trunk.
So I'm gonna go over and poke my aunt awake and be like, I think you got it. I think you got this work done.
You give her a poke and she goes.
Lockbox, wake up. That worked.
All right. You give her a shake and she comes to.
Got the lockbox.
She looks at you and she sees how beat up you are and how you're barely walking, and she says, Jeezy Pete's, how bad was Smitty tonight?
So bad he gave me a bite.
She curses under her breath. She says, that little son of a mulcher son.
So where does this box go?
Where does what?
The box. Whose box is it?
Oh, she sees it and she leaps up and she runs over. She says, did you do this?
Did I?
She hastily starts putting her tools away, trying to pretend like they weren't out at all.
I got an 11. So it wasn't necessarily a deception because she didn't say anything, but she's like,
That's fair. Okay. And then she starts tidying up the box. So, what do you want to do? She tells you it's for a client. She's kind of vague about it.
I would like to go upstairs and get my stuff and tell her I got another job, potentially, and I'd be gone for a while.
Okay. You go up and you grab your stuff and you come down and she looks at you. She sees you're packed. She already knows you're ready to go. She looks at she says, "Well, I guess I'll make you a sandwich."
Fry bread, please.
She opens up her fridge.
Extra salty kind?
She takes 2 slices of bread and she takes a whole fish, like head and tail and everything, and slaps it between it like a cartoon.
It's probably bigger than my mouth, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah, do that whole.
It's not that big of a fish, but yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna take that with me and head back to the Lucky Break then.
All right.
Tell her thank you, and I'll probably be back around if I come back to Waterdeep.
All right. She just kind of nods, and you open the door and go to step out, and she grabs you by the shoulder and yanks you back into a hug.
Aww.
I didn't take the box. I'm slightly professional.
Good karma for later.
You pull back, and she kind of looks at you, and she frowns for a second.
Yeah.
And sighs, and then she goes back, and you hear her jumbling through a box, and she comes back, and she says, "Here," and she hands you something that looks like a tuning fork.
Tuning fork? Can I do an investigation to see what it is?
You don't have to. You know exactly what this is. This is a chime of opening.
Ooh.
This can open any door magically 10 times, assuming that it has all its charges, and then after that it breaks and is ruined.
Nice.
She says, "Take it before I change my mind," and then she points sternly at the door.
Thank you.
You
Big whomping hug.
She says, yeah, but she hugs you back again.
I'll be back.
She says, "I'll hold my breath," and slams the door after you. She's third, but you know she likes you.
Yeah. So I'm gonna make my way back to the Lucky Break.
All right. You go back and everybody is passed out.
I'm gonna split my sandwich and put half right next to where Calf's at.
Calf, does the fishy smell wake you up?
Yes.
All right. I think that's where we're going to end our game for tonight, guys.
That's Clip's equivalent of bringing the dead mouse.
You're like, fish wish.
I like how you have a mysterious box with an object wrapped in cloth, and you put it in front of the cat rogue, and they don't look at it.
I gave her a chance to steal some sweet swag.
I did want to, but it's like, it's technically my aunt. It's technically for a job. She would get in trouble. No,
It's true.
do it.
You'll have a better chance if you need something from her in the future this way. So, like I say, actions have consequences. So, but you did get something. You got a sweet item anyways.
And you said there's, what, 10 charges if it's all full?
10 charges, yeah.
Clip brings the sandwich because she's seen how poorly Kath has rolled and is like, you clearly can't take care of yourself.
Well, that's I should say that's if it has all its charges. You're going to have to do an Arcana check later to see how many charges it has left. But
Gotcha.
if it was brand new, it would have 10. All right, so guess what, everybody? Next game's in 2 weeks, and you guys will be at level 2.
Hey!
What?
Congratulations! Do 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 do. Da 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 da. Killed
said
you,
it
now
wasn't
you're
Final
dead.
Fantasy.
Now you're dead, cause we killed you, now you're dead.
Okay, guys, before we wrap up, I do want to use the Scroll of Truth and ask everybody if we think that
Hey.
Mona was playing us.
We're gonna save that scroll of truth for up till like the level 20 final module, and we'll find a use for it.
You're like, are you the bad guy?
We'll
Or
save
it'll
it,
just
we'll
sit in
save
our
it for the
bag.
season finale, and we'll just use
We'll
it.
just never use any of the magic items you give us. They'll just stay in our bag. Like, what? We might need to use this later. So we'll just have like 10 different unused charms of opening.
We're gonna be dragging like a caravan of wagons.
We'll have a
behind
drift
us with all
globe and
of
a
our
night
stuff.
globe. We'll have like a collection of different globes that like no one
I still
uses
have a
them except for every now and then Clip plays with them.
I picked up a pitchfork earlier, and I noticed that's still in my inventory.
Nice. That'll come in handy when we're cleaning out the stalls for the inn.
We need to frame one of the looters for something. Like, oh, who did this thing? I don't know. Look at this pitchfork. It looks like it was part of the mob of looters that was here.
I love it.
Look, they left some of their torches scattered around. Are we officially done with this module?
We are officially done with this module. Next
Okay, so
time,
we could go look it up.
yeah, you can look.
Like,
Yeah,
Okay, so anything that's relevant to future adventures is probably stuff you added, and not something that's in the module.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Spoiler
That was
time
the
is
whole
over.
Module? That was a small module.
Module. It's just one adventure. Yeah.
It was not a whole module. This particular module has 3 adventures in it. I did not use the name of the adventure because the name of the adventure is One Night in Linkmar, and we were in Waterdeep, which gives you an idea of the kind of things I changed. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with an old book series called Farhard and the Grey Mouser.
Doesn't sound familiar.
I don't recognize it.
It is a contemporary of the Conan the Barbarian series. And D&D back in the day actually had a tie-in to that. Like, actually published some adventures that take place in that city. So one of the things I did, obviously, was I moved it to Waterdeep. I thought this was a cool adventure that nobody had ever heard of. No one ever talks about it because, again, it's set in Lankmar, which nobody cares about. So when people talk about old modules, they always talk about, like, the ones set in the non-licensed ones, basically. But in the module, she is a vampire. I changed that. But the red herring was kind of an ode to that.
Nice.
In the module, she's a Lankmar vampire, which apparently they only turn to vampires like with the full moon, which is kind of weird.
Huh.
I can see, like, let's just make them a were-person.
Yeah, there was a lot of things in the module. I can see again why it's not usually used because I had to change a lot. But I like the bones of it. The bones are all the same. The idea that she's starting in a casino and you think that's going to be what the adventure's about, and then it moves to take this woman home on a dangerous night. And theirs, it's not the solstice, it's something else. It's like a holiday, but it's like a bad holiday. It's the holiday when the old gods wander to the city and judge you, and that's what those skeletons are supposed to be. They're the old gods.
Oh.
Like, thanks. Who asked you?
What's
I
that?
don't need your judgment.
Like I say, this one I kept the bones of it, but okay. So their casino was called The Last Chance, and it was run by a fat guy named Fatty. I'm like, poor guy.
Rude.
Like
Body shaming.
that's the best you could come up with. So I tried to give my version a lot more personality.
I like your version.
Oh, thank you. So Honest Abner, so he can be kind of a recurring character, maybe, depending on where you guys end up. But
Lucky Break also sounds a little bit more optimistic.
Is Honest Abner going to be one of those guys that no matter the town he turns up in, it's like the cabbage guy in Avatar?
Abner's not, because he kind of likes his casino.
It's his brother, slightly less honest Link.